Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Simplified Computer Science Concepts by Professor Rutuja. Today we will be learning about the other method of log-based recovery, that is immediate database modification. In the last lecture we studied about deferred database modification. Now let us look into this immediate database modification. So how do we make a log in this immediate database modification technique? So let's say this is a transaction T1 and how the log file of transaction T1 is created. Let us see. The initial values of A and B variables that we are going to use in transaction 1 is 300 and 600. So here read of A will, here first of all the transaction T1 has started. So the log that is maintained for this is T1 comma start. Then the read of variable A. Then A is equal to A plus 100, which means now the value of A is 300 plus 100, that is 400. Now whenever we want to write an operation, after writing an operation, a new log will be maintained into a log file which will have 4 parameters into it, that is T1, A, 300 and 400. What do you mean by that? The T1 is the transaction, A is the variable on which transaction 1 is performing, 300 is the old value and 400 is the new value. So 300 which is the new value, old value in the database, and 400 by after adding 100 the new value of variable A is 400. So this is how it is. Then comes the next task, that is read of B. Then again B is equal to B plus 200, that is initial value is 600, and then plus adding 200, that is 800. So what is maintained again? T1, the data variable on which T1 is operating is B. The old value is 600 and the new value after adding 200 is 800. So this is how it is maintained into the log file. Now the last one is what? Commit operation. So that will also keep a log into the log file. This is how a log is maintained for immediate database. So in the deferred database only the new values were updated, but in immediate there are old and new values both maintained into the log file. Now how this immediate approach works. So let's say again, let us consider the same transaction, that is T1. The old values are, or the values that are their initial values are 300 and 600. So after reading of A, what will happen? 300 will be read. Then the next, after performing A is equal to A plus 100, 400 will be stored. Write of A, where it will write of A now? So immediately the updated value will be stored into the database. So it is written in the shared memory as well as into the database. So here now if you see, the contents of the database are now A is equal to 400 and B is equal to the old content, that is 600. Then comes read of B. Yes, so read of B is 600. B is equal to B plus 200, which means the value is 800. And then comes write of B. So again write of B will be stored in the shared memory as well as immediately it will reflect into the database. So in the deferred it was not the case. Unless and until the commit operation is performed, the changes were not updated into the database. But here in immediate approach, as soon as the operation is calculated or the arithmetic operations are performed, immediately the results are updated into the database. It does not wait for the commit statement. So whenever the write operation is performed, immediately at that time the new values are updated in the database. So it will not wait for the commit protocol. So how recovery is performed in the immediate data method? So here let us first assume that failure has occurred. Now here just look, when has the failure occurred? After the commit statement. Now let us try to understand this. So this is the initial value, this is the log file, so on. So once this entire transaction has been performed, the new values of this particular transactions are 400 and 800. Why? Because the new values are in the log are 400 and 800. Now let's say after this commit, the failure occurred. Why the Now let us understand how it recovers. So now there is a recover manager who checks the log file of the transaction, understand that the failure has occurred after the commit protocol. Okay. Now whether T1 has start and commit, yes, it has a start operation as well as the commit operation. So if it has a start and commit both, then it will do redo. Redo means what? Whatever are the new values that will be updated into the database. What are the new values of A and B? It is 400 and 800. So that are updated. So even if they are already there into the database, it will again overwrite it, because by looking at the log file, we are because recovery manager will only look the log file. It does not have access to the database. It will check which are the new values 400 and 800. So it will just get that values and immediately put it into the database. So here, if that values are already there, then that values will be overwritten. So if already same values, overwrite it. If not, then we have to update the new values. Then let us understand this case 2. Now here just observe, in this particular transaction, the commit operation has not been performed, and before committing only the failure has occurred. So what is the log file for that? So only there is a start command, but there is no commit command. So in here, what happens? So whenever a recovery manager checks the log file of the transaction, it first checks whether the start and commit operation is there. But in this case, there is only start, there is no commit. So in this case, what will happen? It will not perform redo operation. However, it will perform undo operation. Undo operation means whichever are the old values, that is this here, in this case 300 and 600. These old values will be saved in the database. So that is why this particular approach is called as undo redo method, because we are undoing the values. So here, if you just check, the database will have the values 300 and 600. The new values 400 and 800 has not been updated because there is no commit, because the failure has occurred before the commit. Then let us look at this particular example. So let us see, this is the log files. T1 start, then T1 commit is there, and then there is a T2 start, and then T2 does not have a commit. So what all things will happen? Let us just understand. There are three variables A, B, C. A has initial value 1000, B has initial value 5000, C has initial value 700. Now recovery manager first checks the log file of this transaction. Now what happens? Whether T1 has start and commit? Yes, T1 has start and T1 has commit. So in this case, it will perform a redo operation. Redo operation means whichever are the new values that will be updated. So which are the new values? 2000 and 6000 of transaction A and B. But then again it will check for transaction T2. Transaction T2 has only the start operation and does not have commit operation. So in this case, it will perform undo operation, which means that it will update or it will keep the old value. That means here the 700 value, which is the old value of C, will be kept. It will not get updated to the new value, that is 800. So that is why it is called as undo redo method. So just look at this particular database. As T1 is having both start and commit, the new values are stored, that is 2000 and 6000. However, T2 has only the start and does not have commit. So the old value, that is 700, is stored into the database. So I hope you've understood this immediate database modification approach. Thank you everyone for watching the video. Please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you everyone.